Good morning, Service Alliance community.
Always
Hope
jamming
everybody's
out.
having a great Tuesday.
Gotta love that intro music, man. That gets you pumped in the
Yeah,
morning.
I just need some drumsticks and an
Um,
air guitar.
yep. No, I got my bass guitar over there, but yeah, don't have any. Sorry, can't help you there. How's it
So
going?
I'm doing well. I've been struggling a little bit lately.
Yeah.
This whole accountability topic that we're doing this week.
Yeah.
Feel like this is going to be a good one to speak to myself about.
Well, I couldn't get logged in, so I couldn't share this to my streams. That's why I guess it kicked me out real quick. I don't know. Really odd. Really
It happened.
interesting.
How
Yeah.
is everybody doing out there? Go ahead and say hi in the chat so we know
How
you're
you
listening.
doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
Morning, Adam. Morning, Jeremy. Morning, Joe. Morning, Joe. All the Joes are watching. Jerry. I think I pronounced that right.
Jerry, yes.
And Dr. Dan's in the house. Love having you guys with us every week. We
I'm afraid to touch a
appreciate
button.
you showing up.
It says join the chat, but I'm afraid it's going to kick me out. So I ain't touching nothing else.
Morning, Orkin.
Good morning, all.
Good morning, everyone.
There you
So,
go.
today we're talking about some self-discipline stuff. The stuff that none of us want to hear, none of us want to talk about, none of us want to do. And that's exactly why we should talk about it. So,
Yeah,
let's
dive in, shall we?
Let's dive in. Let's open with some prayer.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I got a scripture. You want it? How would you like to open us in prayer, Jason? I'll throw you on the spot.
Sure, yeah. I'll be accountable for that. God, thank you for this morning. Thank you for opportunity to just lead some people and talk about some hard topics sometimes. Some people it's hard topics, some people it's easy topic. But just thank you for the opportunity. Just guide us as we go through this day and help us to show your love to people. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, brother. All right, today our verse is Hebrews 4:13. Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account. Think about that for a little bit. And then think about what he already knows, not what he's going to know, right?
Things that make you go,
Right. It's kind of a scary thought sometimes, right? I mean, we all know that we're lacking, shall we say, in a lot of areas of our life. And I don't care who you are, nobody's perfect. Everybody could be better. Everybody can improve, and everybody could be more disciplined. And everybody could be a lot more accountable to others.
True.
Very as well as ourselves. So this is a really good topic where I know everything that comes out of my mouth is going to come right back to me because I need to hear this stuff the most.
Right.
every single time. So whatever I preach, I'm preaching to myself.
Preach to the choir.
Just making that statement very clear right now.
Good morning, EJ. EJ's in here.
Good morning, EJ. How you doing?
EJ is actually traveling to our office this week.
Is he?
Yeah, he's coming Wednesday and staying through Sunday. Going to go to church with us Sunday and then go home.
That's awesome. So, I wish I would have known he was doing that.
Yeah,
I would have tried to make some plans.
Come on down. I mean, we could probably make another. You could stay in a hotel if you want. EJ is actually staying in the house.
Is
So
he?
we'll see how that goes. The RV's it's winterized, so I mean,
Yeah.
stay out there, but you have no water, so that would kind of suck. But yeah, so,
I can't wait for RV season,
yeah.
camping season to open up. That'd
See,
be
I'm saying,
awesome.
come meet us here. That's what he's saying. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
you
see
could
that.
come down for a day or so if you wanted to. But all right,
Let me
so what?
let me get back to you on that. I just might.
Yeah, what are some like good tips here for building accountability and self discipline, Mike? You got
Huh.
anything?
I guess just get her done.
Get her. All right, so
I mean, that's
I,
a loaded question, right? Like
tips for accountability.
I was
Get her
listening to
done.
a few things this week. You know, I listen to a lot of podcasts and watch a lot of videos and leadership types ish stuff and
Yeah.
a lot of stuff from Maxwell Leadership. And this topic actually came up last week, and something hit me pretty good in one of them,
Yeah.
and it said focus on what makes you anxious. And I was like, what?
Mm. Yeah.
And the whole premise behind it was whatever makes you anxious, that's what you should address first. The whatever makes you the most anxious,
Mm.
deal with it, get it out of the
Interesting.
way. Like, and I started thinking, I'm like, all right, in my business, what am I most anxious about? And like right now, upcoming, it's taxes is high on that list.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't stand doing taxes. I can't stand doing paperwork crap. Like it's just so mundane and I have no joy doing it. And I just have to deal with it. But it's like, get it done, focus on it, get it out of the way. And that anxiety's gone. Right. And
Yeah.
it's a weight off your shoulders.
That's a good
And
point.
I'm like, that's actually pretty, there's a lot of truth in that, and I started thinking, I'm like, man, if I sat at my desk and I just thought of all the things and literally just took some pen and paper and just wrote down, what makes me the most anxious? Like it both in personal life and in business, right?
Yeah.
You could separate the two, but it could be the same list. Cause I think if you're anxious about something in your personal life, it's going to carry over into your business, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you literally just sit down and make a list and be really, really honest with yourself,
Yeah.
you know what those things are. You already know. But once you put them down on paper, now you got a checklist.
Yep.
And you can say, you know what? I can address that now. I can take this right off of this list if I just address this now. And you hit those easy ones and just start knocking them off, right?
Yeah.
I've always been a big fan of getting the easy stuff knocked off and out of the way first.
Yeah.
And that goes back to crap the 80s when I saw I don't know if anybody out there knows who Minnesota Fats is
Oh
or
yeah.
was. I watched a videotape, in
He's
fact,
a
a
pool player.
VHS.
Pool
He
player,
was
right?
he was like the most well-known pool player and pool hustler ever to live. And he
I can
made
tell you something cool about that.
he made a video with Waylon Jennings, and it was just them two playing pool.
Yep.
And he started discussing things like this. And Waylon Jennings was like, how did you get so good at what you do? And he says, I take all the easy shots first. And he said, I mean, this phrase just stuck with me all my life. If you take the easy shots, then you really won't have any hard shots.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay. And he said, clear the easy shots off the table first. Then you can more easily deal with those hard shots.
Yeah.
And focus on them better because there's no other balls in your way. There's no other obstacles. And I'm like, wow, that's in pool. That is so true,
Yeah.
and, so I've tried to take that approach, all throughout my life with my business ever since I heard that. And it has worked relatively well. So I would strongly advise you to take the easy shots first and just knock them off.
So a couple cool things there. All right. So in the 60s, Minnesota Fats was like a huge staple in the pool area here in Southern Illinois, specifically in Johnston City, which
Mhm.
is really crazy. So I was doing some work for a lady who was Kenny Gray's secretary. Kenny Gray was a congressman from here in Illinois and very well known, especially in Southern Illinois, because he lived in the West Frankfort, Thompsonville area and everything. And anyway, it was really cool to go to this lady's house because it was not your ordinary house. Nothing like majorly huge or fancy, just a really cool house the way it was set up. And as we go through, as I'm doing work, she starts showing me these pictures of this one specific area of the house where she used to have a couple pool tables. And she would have some really well-known people from all over the country would come and they had a pool hall there in her house, and they would play pool. So really interesting. So look up Minnesota Fats specifically in Johnson City, Illinois. There's some stuff that comes up. Uh, a little topic on what you were talking about, like your getting a list going and everything. One of the areas I struggle in is um, getting too much on my list, and I am not self-disciplined um, because my mind just goes everywhere, right? So for me, I have to focus on one self-discipline skill at a time, right? And so I think that's a huge thing to throw out there. Um, there's a lot of traits that you can develop that lead to like increased self-discipline, but focusing on one area to improve at a time. So you might
Yeah,
focus
I'm
on,
the same way.
yeah,
You make a big list, but you have to make that big list. Otherwise, you
yeah,
can't prioritize it, right?
yeah. So you may focus on maybe getting more organized first, and then later focus on some goal setting or something. But yeah, for sure,
Yeah, I think
that's me.
the top of my one of the top of my list is those SMART goals because how
Hundred
can you be
percent.
organized and how can you achieve anything if you're not, looking at the SMART measurable, and so on, SMART goals.
Yeah,
Um, they've got to be achievable and relevant and time bound.
yeah,
And time bound is a big problem for me. It's like some things I can hit those time targets and
yeah,
others it frustrates me and it just causes me anxiety that I haven't hit those targets, right?
yeah,
So I have to reassess and reevaluate and redo those goals and set new goals, and focus on those ones that I've missed even more,
yeah.
the second time around. So
For those of you who don't know what SMART goals are, the SMART goal stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So um, SMART goals are good, 100%. In achieving SMART goals, think about what self discipline means to you in your own work, and what skills and what qualities that you're going to need to put that into place and into practice. Um, the time bound thing is one that we've really kind of hit up a lot in our leadership meetings lately because we had some really big, hairy, audacious goals, BHAG goals, right? But we didn't have steps to get us there. So we had to take a huge step back and reevaluate like our 10-year goal, right? For 2032, we were like, have this big, all awesome goal, but it's like, what's the steps to get us there? And we didn't have those. And so that's one thing we're working on now And I don't think we're going to hit what we was thinking we was going to be able to hit for our 10-year goal. And that's just an aspect of leadership that was not having the right people in the right seats, right? When you get to Good to Great by Jim Rohn.
Yep. I've got it sitting right behind me.
Jim Collins, not Jim Rohn, but the best CD that a friend of mine, electrician out in Colorado, gave that to me. And it took me about 8 hours to listen through it. But I'll tell you, if you don't know Good to Great by Jim Collins, I'll give you the 8-hour version in like less than a minute. Get the right people on the bus, and once they're on the bus, get them in the right seat. There you go. That wasn't even 10 seconds.
Exactly.
So what does that mean for your business? It means you're probably going to have to go through a lot of people to get the right people on the bus or in your business. And once you've got the right people in your business, you're going to have to shift them around and have to move them around to find the right seat. Perfect example is Heather in our business. Heather's been with us since almost the beginning. So over 5 years now. And she has been in just about every seat that we have. And right now she is in charge of the floor. Like everybody who is a CSR, she's accountable for them. And she does a heck of a job doing it, right? So I guess that would also lead into another good point that you got to remember that failure is part of succeeding as well. When you're talking about self-discipline and accountability, because we almost lost her. November of 2022, she was in the wrong seat and she was not happy. And I remember she even put in her 2-week notice. And it's like, whoa, wait a second here. What's going on? We had the blinders on thinking everything's going smooth and well and happy. And yeah, she wasn't. So we shifted into a different seat. And then she's still with us. And she's a key player for sure. But self-discipline doesn't require perfection, that's for sure. You're going to fail. You're going to fall short. You're going to fall short of setting habits, reaching goals, and that's okay. It's a natural part of succeeding, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not making mistakes, and if you're not, I guess, failing once in a while, you're not trying hard enough. You're really not trying hard enough.
The idea is just to keep moving forward and moving closer to your goals.
Yeah,
You gotta recognize your failures, right?
You know how many shots Michael Jordan missed? Greatest basketball player of all time. That dude missed a hell of a lot of shots.
Yeah. Yep.
But he got better and better and better, and he started missing less and less and less over time. But he threw a lot of bricks. And if you're not throwing bricks, you're not shooting the ball.
Oh yeah. Thomas Edison, another good one. 10,000 times, but it took just that one and got it right. So
absolutely. I mean, you've got to do a lot consistently and keep striving in order to get things done.
You're hinting on one this one's going to be a little bit painful to me, maybe you, a lot of other people. That's making practice a habit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ouch. Right. Slap your hand, whatever you got to do. Yeah, for sure. EJ, Heather is definitely an asset here at my office. So yeah, making practice a habit. For those of us who are a little, what's a nice word to say? A little healthy.
Yeah.
Maybe a little overly healthy. Making practice a habit is a tough one. Yeah, be the first to admit that. I have a gym membership and I go maybe a couple times a month, and it's like I probably should go more like 3 times a week, but it's cold outside, right? We can always make an excuse, but yeah, this one's going to hurt a little bit. Talking about habits.
Well, I mean the good thing about having those struggles, right, is it teaches you better how to deal with them.
Yep.
And you'll get better and better at dealing with those challenges and those struggles and the anxiety, of the things you don't want to do, because we all have things as business owners that we don't want to deal with, we don't want to do. And we've got, I mean, I got a couple of stacks of paperwork on my desk right now that are just driving me insane. And I know I need to deal with it.
Yeah.
I have to. And I don't want to, but I absolutely have to. But once you take care of those things and you just start knocking them off, you it does release some endorphins that
Yeah.
make you feel good when you finally deal with something and you achieve it and you don't have to worry anymore. It releases that feel good sensation in your mind
Yeah.
that you don't have to deal with anymore. It's off your shoulders and you can move on to the next thing. So sometimes the biggest problem is procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to teach ourselves the discipline to not procrastinate
Yeah.
or procrastinate less. You know, there's prioritization and then there's just outright ignoring things.
Yeah. I think for me, and when we talk about business specifically, and I hope this part finds you all very helpful. Um, when you're making those long-term plans or goals, break them down into shorter milestones. We call them rocks. So we have 90-day rocks. In every quarter, we reevaluate our rocks. What have we got accomplished? What do we need to focus in on more? So, for me, a good example is redoing a lot of our training videos and our training. We have a website that's specific for our training. So all of our CSRs go through a 14-day training period before they're allowed to be put on the floor officially. So they do start making calls, but they are slowly put into doing return calls or following up with emails, things like that first to get them into the habit. But so redoing the training videos is not just something I can sit down and do in an hour, right? It's a big deal. I have to go through page by page, and it's not just the CSRs, but it's also the managers, right? So we have a training plan that's in place for our managers. So I have to go through all that training process as well. So this is something that takes a month, 2 months, potentially 90 days to get through, right? So I'm breaking it down by chunks even further, right? So this week, I'm going to focus in on doing the videos. Next week, I'm going to focus in on making sure all the wording's correct or adjusting a little wording, right? So even breaking down those big goals into rocks and then even into smaller pebbles, if you will, to get them done. And that's going to help you focus on getting more organized as well, right? It helps you to stay motivated as well because, man, once I got the videos done, I was like, yes, I got something accomplished, right? And I was able to celebrate that little small win.
Yeah.
So celebrate the small wins along the way as you reach those long-term goals, those big goals, right?
Small wins are big wins. I
Yeah.
mean, because they keep you motivated, they keep you moving forward.
Yeah. I tell you what, your team, whenever your team comes to you with something that um, they feel is a win, you need to celebrate that with them. Um, Austin's a good example. He's had some really awesome wins this past couple weeks with our AI stuff. And I went up to him the other day and I'm like, hey, man, I just want to let you know I'm really proud of you. You've done some really cool stuff here in the last week. And for him, that was just like, thanks, Dad. He doesn't call me dad at work, though. He's like, thanks, Jason, which is so odd, but
That's
it is
weird,
what it
right?
is. But and he calls Shane. He wants to be his own person, at work. So,
Yeah.
and I get it, but yeah. So anyway, it's celebrating those wins with the people as well.
You
So
should just answer, thanks, son.
yeah, yeah. Even on the website, he's on the website is Austin J. No
Yeah.
shadowing. So yeah.
Joe says
Uh,
making good habits is hard to lock in.
that it is.
It is
It can
true.
be.
It's
Yeah.
harder than ever these days. It used to be a little shorter time to build a habit. And these days, it takes even longer. I mean, you ever look at those statistics? They used to say it was 30 days, and now it's almost triple that now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, how do you deal with, I guess, when we're talking about discipline, accountability, all that stuff. How do you deal with I guess accountability when it comes to like your network and community
Hmm.
that you're involved in?
Yeah, that's totally outside of the question, and that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who are business owners think that everybody else should hold them accountable,
Hmm.
or they should have a small group of people that regularly check in, hold them accountable. And I struggle with that, and I've been one of those business owners who strived to have somebody hold me more accountable, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't work. I have found it just doesn't work because I don't care who's asking me questions about certain things. I don't care who's trying to legitimately hold me accountable. If I'm not accountable to myself,
Hmm.
none of it matters,
Yeah.
right? Because, I've got friends that I'll share some things with, whether it's personal or business, and every once in a while that those people will come back and they'll say, "Hey, what's going on with that thing you told me about? Where are you at with that? Are you still struggling with that?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I never really did much about that." And they'll be like, "Why not?" And we'll talk through it, but it's nothing that I didn't already know to begin with, right? So I need to be accountable to myself and others. Who am I responsible for? I'm responsible to my family. I'm responsible to, hey, Shayna. I'm responsible to my network and to my employees. So how do you really hold yourself accountable? And I think that's the key question, is you either do or you don't.
Hmm.
You there is It's hard to say, yeah, I do sometimes, but I only do it on the little things. I
Hmm.
only hold myself accountable on the easy things.
Yeah.
But if you're not holding yourself accountable on the hard things, that's where your character's coming through. And
Yeah.
that's where I guess the real you is going to be challenged,
Hmm.
right? And that's where you should be focusing on those hard things. And like I said, I am speaking to myself right now. You know, the the inner Mike needs to hear this the most. Um,
I hear you.
I've definitely got some things that I've procrastinated on, and I need to be held accountable to myself. And I don't care who it is in my life. If I don't hold myself accountable, nothing they say is going to matter.
Yeah. Hmm.
Because I'll blow it off. If it's not important to me, I don't care how important it is to anybody else.
Yeah.
I need to make sure it's important to me, and I need to find a way.
Yeah.
And those things that I don't care about or that cause me anxiety or that I just don't want to deal with, or I'd rather do something else because it makes me feel better,
Yeah.
or I just enjoy doing it, right? Because it makes me feel better
Hmm.
and I can see some tangible results. It's not the mundane stuff.
Yeah.
It's I think that's the real challenge we face as business owners is those types of things aren't we don't look at those as building block tools, and things to build ourselves up and have more endurance, I guess, in our business long
Yeah.
term.
Hmm. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
I don't know, maybe I'm the only one in the world that feels this way and has that issue. But
No, definitely not. And you definitely brought up a different topic as far as a different conversation aspect of self accountability versus we can be accountable to all different kinds of people. Discipleship groups. You're talking about community. The first thing I thought about was like BNI groups, right? They hold each other accountable. They have one on ones. You have to bring referrals. or you're going to get kicked out of the group. So, I mean, there's accountability there. You can be accountable with your spouse, your business partner. There's so many different ways to be accountable. But when it comes to yourself, being self accountable, man, yeah, that can be super easy or it can be super tough.
Well, like
Um,
you gave the example of the BNI group,
yeah,
that's having those referrals. That's something that's measurable,
yeah,
right? And it's something that's time bound. So they've got something. There's a goal for you to achieve it, and
yep,
it's measurable and it's time bound. Or there's consequences to that, right?
yeah,
So I think that's really, really good, and it makes it easy to know what
yeah,
it is because the expectations are set. But when it comes to you as a business owner,
yeah,
and you're basically the only one, if you're the business owner and you're making all the decisions
yeah.
and you're dealing with all the challenges and you're dealing with all that mundane stuff.
So this brings me up to a conversation I had the other day. I had a friend who is he's a mortician. Um, and we were sitting. It's actually on my birthday last Thursday. I had a bunch of us over at the man cave, and we were just sitting around talking. And he looked at me. He said, so what's some of your personal goals for this year? I'm like, well, and I just started talking about business stuff. He goes, no, 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 stop. Personal goals. What's your personal goals for this year? Well, I really haven't put any personal goals in place this year. Everything I'm doing is business related. And it was like I don't want to say a slap in the face, but it was just like a really big wake up call. That's a better way to say it. Like, yeah, I don't have any personal goals set in place for this year. And that's weird because I usually do. Everything has been so focused on the business, growing the business. The two things that we're focusing on this year is consistent client satisfaction and culture. So everything that I've done has been focusing on those two things, as well as our family right now with a foster child. So it's like I haven't focused on me at all. And it's like if you don't start with you, the rest of it is going to what? It's gonna have a hard time following. So it always comes
Mhm.
back to you. I found with me personally as well, I don't have it in here, but I had some major events happen in my life a few years ago, and I took a lot of notes about what was going on and a lot of positive things that happened that I had to write down so I never forget. And occasionally I'll go back to those notes and I'll read them. And practicing gratitude is huge, right? We talk about taking time to recognize those small wins. Well, also those points of joy in your life, right? And if you recognize those even throughout your day, they can really help increase and maintain your motivation. So you might consider writing down two or three things that you're grateful for at the end of each day and start a little journal about that. And those are things that are going to help you. But personal goals, right?
I think that's excellent advice. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of us lose focus on the little
Yeah.
things, right?
Yeah.
So, um, definitely. I mean, we focus on the setbacks. We don't focus on the achievements, the good things,
Hmm.
but we completely miss out on what we're grateful for, you know, and what we're actually blessed with. And I think that's a huge thing that we need to really start focusing on.
Yeah.
I know I do for
Yeah.
sure. Well,
Time is
I am
flying.
blessed with you in my life. I'm blessed with all of you that show up every Tuesday morning. And I want to thank you for that. It does make us feel good that you're here, that you're listening, and that hopefully we can bring some value to you
Yeah.
from the Service Alliance group. And I
We
guess we
can't,
can wrap this up.
we,
We're
but
40, almost 40 minutes, 35
it,
minutes in.
we have to, no dad jokes. We,
We
what are we
didn't
going to
have
do?
any dad jokes.
We
I
didn't.
completely forgot about that.
I've never been a fan of facial hair, but it's starting to grow on me. No,
Yeah.
no. Um, What
you
did
just had to stick one in there.
I did? Yeah. Okay. What did one potato chip say to the other?
I don't know, Jason. What did one potato chip say to the other?
Let's go for a dip.
All righty then.
Got to have a
With
couple
that,
of them in there. Come on.
we'll
now.
sign off. All right.
See you next
Everybody
week.
have a great week. Get out there and be grateful.
One of my favorite things to say, and I'll say this to a lot of people: Jesus loves you, so do I. So
Absolutely.
have a good week.
All right. Talk to you guys later.